The Wave, A Story of Transformation. The Wave. Phuket, Thailand, 2004. Sunshine washed golden on the shoreline the first afternoon I saw them together. She arrived first, then he joined her at the resort bar. They slipped away for a walk just before sunset. At a distance, the beach framed them while the surf slid in gentle layers around their feet. They walked in tandem like two egrets, graceful, ethereal, ready to take flight, and here I was, hired to watch them. I shot pictures of their movements for the remainder of that day, all these years as a cameraman, and I still find it remarkable how you can tell when two people are in love, even at a distance of a football field, no matter who the people are. I think there must be a glimpse of the eternal in it. My employer hadn't exactly seen it that way. "I want the money shot, do you understand?" said Rick, private investigator to the morally insolvent. "If they weren't 10,000 miles away, I'd do it myself." Then he belched, slugging down yet another shot of whiskey. This was supposed to be a slam dunk luxury assignment. I would stay at a 5-star hotel, get some tell-all photos of them together, and the money would be wired to my bank account at home. Under the table payment maybe, but who would that hurt? Not my family. We had said our goodbyes on the 22nd. My kids were older and always spent Christmas with my ex. Besides, they were used to seeing the back of me. I'd been an on-call cameraman at WFAW for 15 years before merciless budget cuts at the station and desperation had made me a free agent. For 2 days I followed them around like an unseen homeless dog until he noticed me. He approached to see what I was doing. I told him I worked for Call of Nature magazine. I even showed him some seascapes I'd taken that day. I got the impression that A, he did not believe my cover story, and B, he would have paid far better than Rick's agency, but that would have made things way too complicated. December 25th came, and I called my family, safe in the knowledge that I could make my mortgage payment. Then came the morning of the 26th. Back on assignment, I started tracking them at 6:30 a.m. Now it was 7:50. I watched through the lens as they walked along the beach. I lifted my camera like a voyeur who thinks he's part of something that has nothing whatsoever to do with him. But I was not a voyeur. My part of this whole affair was purely commercial. Perched from a balcony of their hotel, I aimed my viewfinder crosshair and held them in fast focus with my 200 to 600 millimeter zoom lens. At one point, she ran a few meters ahead. I clicked stills of her. Then she returned to him. Each held the other's gaze, and finally they kissed. "Yes," I whispered. "That's it. Gotcha." The woman was the first to notice a change in the surf. He kept walking. Then she said something to him. They stopped and stared at the water draining from the shore. Then grasped hands and started running inland. This time I set the camera on video. They ran faster and faster. Soon they were lost in the panicked crowd rushing inland. I lifted the lens up to see a long wave on the horizon. At a distance it appeared harmless. Then it began devouring everything in its path, churning boats and beach cabanas into its trough, slamming them down and then pulling them under its crest. I stood up and set a wide focus on the camera. "Run! Run!" I shouted, but the wave enveloped everything. There was no time to stop. I followed it with my sight, as it moved on shore, consuming houses, cars, vendor stands, and yet more people. Then came the whine of the buildings around me. Glass and wood and steel were slowly buckling, breaking, and blending into the onslaught of watery rubbish that swallowed up beach blankets, elegant resort furniture, cafe tables and chairs, landscaping, everything. People were falling and going under, others trying to reach into the debris and save them. My hands shook as I viewed the scene. I fled down the external hallway of the building in search of refuge, and finally happened upon a stairway that led to a rooftop where I strapped my second camera onto a column and set the focus down to the debris and the bodies floating 3 stories below. The cries for help, the cries for salvation, I hear their voices to this day. Suddenly I realized I was not alone. A dozen ragged children surrounded me. There was a young woman with a terrified toddler looking at me in desperation. I turned and adjusted my camera to keep it recording as buildings collapsed into the melting pot sludge of civilization beneath us. Looking around, there came upon me what memory holds as a perception slowdown. Each second felt like an hour. The children's eyes watching me intensified. Sounds from the atmosphere seemed muted, as if at a great distance, yet I could hear voices with heightened clarity. Then, as suddenly as the slowdown had come upon me, I was snapped out of it. The noise of the melee below returned, but was drowned out by the all too familiar sound of a news chopper. I unstrapped the camera and raised it up to signal that I was with the media. They sent down a rescue basket to pull me to safety. I looked at the hapless children and considered my next move. I recruited an older child to hold the camera steady and keep filming. I loaded the woman with the baby and 2 small kids first, then sent the others up in their turn, 2 to 4 at a time depending on their size. The helicopter left and returned 3 times. On the 4th return trip, I boarded the basket to safety. Turns out it was a CCN broadcasting helicopter. A producer was on board. She asked if I was on assignment. "Not anymore," I answered. The network purchased my tsunami footage, and they hired me on the spot to film the rest of the day and the days that followed. As I worked, I stopped and talked to survivors. The morning after my rooftop rescue, I read the posted list of the missing and the dead. Her name had been found amid the rubble. Rick finally reached me the following week. "They're settling up her estate," he said. "Did you get any evidence of the affair? Tabloids are calling me nonstop. They'll buy anything you got. You'll get a huge fee, life-changing. My commission from her ex-husband alone is life-changing. Did you get the money shot?" I was walking past the identification board that now posted pictures of missing victims. I saw his picture. People still raw with grief and shock bumped past me. I felt warmth radiating from a fire burning in a barrel outside a nearby refuge shelter. While Rick ranted like a rooster discovering an empty henhouse, I took out camera 1, opened the files, and scrolled to the images of them, walking the beach moments before the disaster. The files were labeled and organized, ready to be sent to the voice bristling obscenities into the airwaves from the other side of the world. I paused to view the shot of them kissing, the tabloid money shot, the pay for the kids' college and retire mortgage-free shot. "Rick, you're breaking up. Listen, I paused to think up a story. When the tsunami hit, I had to scramble for my room, and camera one was missing from my bag. I went back to find it, and there were bodies and debris where my hotel room had been. What? Do you expect payment for an assignment you didn't even complete? Wait. They're doing retrospectives of her work. Do you have any last shots of her alive? Or better yet, dead? I just told you that camera one got lost, along with all the material on it. Rick kept bellowing while I studied a still of her from the last day of her life. She was radiant, ebullient, as she twirled in the sand, water splashing under her feet, glowing light reflected up onto her face. If I do say so, it was a perfect exposure. Perfect. Unbeknownst to Rick, I had already sent that picture to her parents while posing as an anonymous fan who'd seen every one of her movies. Hello? Hello? He yelled. Did you get any pictures? I closed the file, pressed delete, eject the memory card, and threw it into the fire. No, I said. I didn't get a thing. Then hung up. You have been listening to The Wave, an excerpt from the book Christmas Noir and Other Holiday Treats by Minda A. Stevens, available on Amazon. This recording was edited by Johncarlos Lillo for Artful Orange Productions.